So, okay guys, here it is, patch 2.1.0. They actually made us wait quite a bit for this one, but now, oh boy, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So, Aphelios Champion Expansion, our most complex and adaptable champion to date. Aphelios has made his arrival in Legends of Runeterra. The Weapon of the Faithful brings with him a small collection of new cards as part of the Aphelios Champion Expansion. For a deeper dive into Aphelios' design and mechanics, check out our overview video with design director Riot Ombrage on the Legends of Runeterra YouTube channel tomorrow. Okay, so we will have to wait for that, probably explaining what phased means. Praise the moon and get Aphelios as soon as he lands in patch 2.1.0 and get a look at all of the cards coming in expansion in the Aphelios Champion Expansion card gallery. We already did that video, I will link to that in the description or probably in the card above, if I remember. So, Luna's Celebration, we basically get a 7-week login rewards, I guess. So first of all, we have immediately Aphelios, then the flight. The Cloven Way is actually a new card. That wasn't in the card gallery, I guess. So what it reads: a Nightfall, stun an enemy if it's a follower, stun it again at the next round start with Overwhelm. So like we didn't take a look at that earlier. Probably they missed that. And so like all those new cars, those seems to be, yeah, they are all the cars. But the Cologne Way, I missed that. But yeah, so it seems a pretty interesting card. Could see play in a control style of deck. But yeah, so we get this nice bonus. Then we see Break Out the Fireworks. It's time for the Lunar Celebration. Log in over 7 days during the Lunar Celebration event period to earn rewards, starting with a free copy of Aphelios as well as a new Lunar Celebration quest each day for even more rewards. Complete all 7 Lunar Celebration quests to earn the Year of the Ox card back. So that one. Interesting. Card updates, finally. The release of Cosmic Creation introduced Zoe, Victor, and Riven to the game. Now that we had the chance to see them in action, we know Zoe has been making portals and taking names all across Runeterra. Victor and Riven, however, could use a little bit more attention to help them perform their best. Patch 2.1.0 comes with a collection of card updates aimed at giving these champions a chance to shine just a bit brighter, along with some non-champion card updates to improve the overall health of the game. Like with Victor and Riven in this patch, as we move forward with future card updates, you are going to generally see more attention paid to newly released cards to ensure they are performing at an appropriate level compared to previously released sets. However, that doesn't mean cards from Foundations, Rising Tides, or Call of the Mountain won't see adjustments. This philosophy is specifically in regards to live design and balance, and has been established to ensure that we continue to promote meta health and deck diversity as we continue to add new sets and expansions in the future. With that, let's take a look at what's changed in patch 2.1.0. Okay, so I like the philosophy behind it, of course, like if a card is, unhealthy, for example, like right now, some cards from, Foundations, Rising Tides could not be a problem, but then like if a very problematic card has been released in the future, and actually the real problem is not that new card, which is okay, but like some cards that it combos into from previous sets, and that, could, diminish the design potential in the future. So like that's the card that needs to be changed and not the new card, so like of course that, but of course, like as they are saying, when they release new cards, it will be a shame if almost all of the new cards are actually not being played and the game is the same and the same over and over. Like most of the times other card games try to power creep, like they release very powerful cards, much more powerful than the cards before, so of course they are being played, but then like most of the times it is for pay to win. It is actually not fun because if you always power creep, then suddenly the older cards are not being played anymore, and like you reach a point in which you always have to release OP cards, and it becomes much more of like a game of dices. Like if I get my powerful card earlier than you do, then I win. So it's probably the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that. But anyways. So I like the philosophy, that's it. Then we see Misfortune, remote Overwhelm after leveling up. That's a clever idea, because like I was thinking about Misfortune is a bit too strong. But then like what do you change? If you make her a 3-2, then she suddenly dies to Mystic Shot, that's a bit problematic. She can't be a 2-3, then suddenly she can't really attack, she becomes more of like a unit which you want to put in the back, like it's not really aggressive, you just want to level her up to be, the support, which is not their role. And then yeah, like probably you could have made these into, instead of dealing 1 3 times and only 2, you're basically doubling the effect, so that could have been fair. But then, like, Miss Fortune kinda needs a lot of setup to actually level up. And then, like, if you're only just dealing 2 every time, it's still strong, but then, like, she misses something, So, like, removing Overwhelm is just the nice touch, Like, you change something, then suddenly Miss Fortune can't, like, OTK you out of nowhere with, like, 7 damage most of the times, probably 6 because it has Overwhelm, so, like, 1 health should be blocking it. But then, like, yeah, I like a lot this change. Probably won't mean a lot to scouts. Like, this card is completely still viable. Viable. And but yeah, like, it's a pretty nice nerf. Really, really a fan of it. Miss Fortune's level 2 lethality does not quite line up with the difficulty of her quest. Well, no, I'm not. I don't agree too much. Like, it's pretty difficult to level up Miss Fortune because she's also quite fragile. You exactly need scouts to level her up. So I don't agree. It's a pretty difficult quest. We want to slightly reduce her ability to immediately end the game given she levels up. Okay, so that's fine instead. Like, most of the times, it's probably the effect, the lethal problem, because, you deal 6 damage with a scout guaranteed, so that's the problem. Indeed, like, now thinking back, probably also reducing it to 2 won't really kill the card. Like, leave the Overwhelm and just double the effect instead of tripling it. But anyways, that's okay. That seems like a fair change. Then we see Victor. You've played 8 plus card, becomes you played 7 plus, create a card. Now creates an X score upgrade on both play and run start. And the same goes for Victor leveled up. Victor's build up is often too slow to have realistic impact on the game a champion should have. We want to speed it up and also provide more immediate impact and potential for augment allies and Victor himself when deployed later in the game. That's interesting, but like probably the biggest problem with Victor is that, okay, you can generate quite a huge unit with all those, X-Core upgrades. Like, yeah, okay, you have a 1 mana, basically free augment. If a Victor is leveled up, then this costs 0 suddenly, so like it's a 0 mana grant +1/+0 to all augments, and also Victor is the leader and gains also a keyword in that way. That's interesting, but like still 6-7 created cards is a bit too like long term, Probably 5. That way, like it will come much earlier in the game. Probably would see at least some play. Like, I don't think that after this change Victor will see all that much play, honestly. Grand Plaza, let's go, guys. So we see when an ally is summoned, give it +1/+1. Instead, this becomes when an ally is summoned, give it +1/+0 and challenger this round. Okay, so the change that most of the people agreed onto, which is fair, like there is nothing wrong with this change. I would have liked more if they went into the when I'm played instead of when an ally is summoned, Like, I like that change much more. But this is still fine. Run Plaza has been a positive new tool for mid-range Demacia decks, but its stat distribution on top of Challenger makes it too easy to make profitable challenge trades while adding resiliency. By removing the health buff, we want to allow more wiggle room for counterplay and soften the ability to keep your Plaza units alive after challenging with them. That's pretty fair. So, like, of course, this nerf is eating scouts, mostly. Stuff like Grand Targon, even though it's not on ladder all that much, and not really all that much instead Lucent Echoing, because most of the times you are attacking with ephemeral units anyways, so you don't really care about the +1 health. I don't know if this card will be a problem going forward in the game, like, because whatever summons a lot of units, very cheap units, then suddenly with the Grand Plaza you are most of the times doubling their attacks, you are challenging with them, and that's probably one of the problems we had with scouts. Then of course, if you also add more resiliency, as they're saying, then this card is broken, and we have already seen how it worked, but again, like, I'm still concerned about going forward with this card. Like, this limits a lot of design. Like, you can't print cards that summons other cards with Grand Plaza being OP with them. So, like, I would have liked more if they went for the when allies played first, and then also take a look at the +1 health afterwards. War Chefs, from 1-3 base stats to 2-2. Originally, when we made this adjustment, we had thought that retaining health was more powerful than attack, We were wrong about that, given the nature of support units needing the ability to at least trade into more board states, so we are making a small adjustment to war chefs. So that makes a lot of sense, of course. Like with the 1-3, most of the times, like this is a 2-drop, so like it is competing against the 3-2s most of the times. And this means that you are attacking into a 3-2, which value trades on the war chefs, and then the 3-1, which is left, can trade on something else later on, or can push 3 damage every turn. Instead, a 2-2 at least can trade into that 3-2, and you are supporting that ally and stuff. I don't know, because when war chefs were at like 2-3, it also competed against other 2-2s. So this meant that you could attack with war chefs. These would survive also if they blocked that, and then you could activate the support again. At the 2-2, this is basically a 2-2 give +1/+1 once, and then this dies. Like on paper, it is a 2-mana 3-3 when I'm attacking, but you distribute the stats into another follower, which could matter because or a champion, because maybe they have more keywords and stuff like that. But still, I don't think war chefs will ever see the glory that he had before. But still, like an indie like deserved rework basically. Homecoming from 5 to 4 mana. I don't even remember what this card actually does. Recall an ally, a unit or landmark to recall an enemy unit or landmark. Like guys, I think this card is like remember when we had Wheel of Ionia, which basically was this card without the drawback most of the time. Because let's be honest, like if you're recalling something, I mean I know that you can save something from removal, and then you also play it to recall something from your opponent. But then, like, let's be honest, Wheel of Ionia was used when, for example, they went for a finisher, like Darius or stuff like that, and then you just Wheel of Ionia, you make them lose a round, basically, and you gain more turns, you can push for elusive damage to win out the game before they heal you, stuff like that. Instead, like, with Homecoming, you can still do that, but you need to recall a unit of yours as well, so, like, you're losing tempo, you're losing aggression. And also, like, most of the times, this could be on an open attack type of board state, so, like, with Wheel of Ionia, you could have returned something that was already on board. With Homecoming, if you have no units, then you can't play Homecoming, and that's probably the most weak part of this card. We also don't see any like a lot of units which actually do care about recall and stuff. So like yeah, I don't see, like, even with the one mana reduction, this card still has no place in any decks. If we see more support for recalling stuff, then that's fine. By the way, let's read what they want to say. We want to add some power to Iona's identity as the only region that can recall enemies. This adjustment should provide some more texture and potential for the usable spells within Ionia. Okay, that's fine, but this still doesn't work in my opinion. Greenglade Elder from 1-1 to 3-1, so a pretty interesting change. Like with Homecoming, we wanted to make a few small changes directed at improving some of Ionia's core mechanics. The Elder stats made it impossible to be feasible, so these adjustments should provide hand buffing decks a bit more board presence and potential while setting up. So like we see that they, made... also what it was, like I can't remember, another card in this style of decks that was buffed recently, so like they probably want to push a bit more the Ionia and buffing, but like reasonably these and the I can't remember the name, the 5 mana 4/4 grant an ally in hand +3/+3. So like those are the only end buffs that come into mind, and still that doesn't seem like a pretty good archetype. We could see something crazy like a Zed, Zed end buffing and stuff, but then this is competing with Zed, the turn that you want to play Zed. I don't really know. Probably a 3/2 maybe would be too strong, but not even that. Like this dies to pings. This is also still a problem, So nice buff, but probably still won't see play. Captain Pharaon, guys, finally, like me and Legends of Runeterra guides asked for these, since I write the script, then mostly me asked for these for like 3 months. Like that Captain Pharaon is completely broken. I remember when I just entered the game, I saw this was one of the first balance changes that I actually read. And, first Captain Pharaon discarded your whole hand and gave you the decimates for every card discarded. Which, is still quite strong, but then, you're losing value for burn, only burn. Instead, like, this creates value in end, and it is burn, you know? That's insane. And on top of that, like, you create 3 decimates. Like, that's completely broken, guys, because you, as I said in most of the videos when I complained about Captain Farron, like, you, as a burn player, you just need to deal 8 damage. Then, like, if you're up against an aggro, then you can, like, you know, trade back and forth. You don't really care all that much until you hit turn 8, and then they just lose. In 2 rounds, they lose. They can't do anything. If they don't have heal, they lose. You just need to stall, and they lose. Like, guys, really, I'm repeating myself, because really, do you see how much this is bad? Like, you just stall the game until you can play Captain Farron and win. That's pretty cheap, honestly. With 2 decimates, that's what I asked for. It was, you know, like, 2 decimates is at least fair. Like, 3 decimates is completely broken. Like, 2 decimates, you need to put your opponent down to 8. That's more reasonable. Like, your opponent has a more room to take damage and actually not die just from Captain Farron. So that's the first step into the right direction. But, like, if I wanted to be, like, completely harsh on this card, like, just create 1 decimate could be even, like, still right, you know? Like, I didn't want to completely nerf this card from 3 down to 1, but, like, guys, really, at 2 decimates, this card is still good. That's the problem. Like, 3 was completely crazy. So, the direct damage output provided by Captain Farron can be overbearing in many games, and can also prevent certain region combination from effectively executing a slower game plan. We're providing more breathing room while playing against Farron while keeping his shape intact. Yeah, that seemed reasonable. That's what my arguments were like. Then we see Blade of the Exile from 3 mana to 1. I mean, it makes sense, because all the Blade fragments are 1, and then, you know, you combine them, so it is okay that it costs 3. But then again, like, yeah, a third of a reduction of mana seem reasonable, but then still, like, probably, like, let's take a look at the change from 2 cards below, then this makes much more sense, but then yeah, let's read what they have to say. Blade of the Exile is a bit too clunky to be used effectively, and is often not used at all in games when it is created. We generally only change spells speeds in emergencies, so we are reducing the cost by 2 to both provide payoff for turbo creating it early in the game and for general ease of use. Yeah, like, okay, I see, like, if you turbo generate it, then you most of the times can't actually play it the turn that you generate it, since it costs 3 and you spend all your rounds to create it as fast as possible, then you can actually play it when you have created it, so, like, you know, reducing the cost makes sense. But then again, like, I'm not a big fan of the Reforge mechanic, first of all, and even in general. Like, I don't think this will revive that kind of archetype. Blade Squire from 1/2 to 2/1, that makes a lot more sense. Like, when I first saw these unit, basically, like, 1/2 is pretty lame unless you just want that card to stay in the back. For example, Crackshot Corsair makes sense. Like, you don't really want to attack with that card, but if you can open attack with it, then that's fine. You gain 1 more damage for free. But, like, you know, only units which have a passive support type of effect can have more health than attack. But instead, with Blade Squire, you want either to attack with it or to block, and a 1/2 is completely terrible at doing that. And since you want to attack or block because you want this to die, since the last breath reforged, you know, that didn't make a sense at all at 1/2. Instead, 2/1 is much more fair, and that's right. One of Riven's weaknesses is having to dilute your deck with their followers, which are generally weaker than other options. For Blade Squire, you want to flatly increase its viability with a better stat line to give Riven decks a boost, and the card itself more satisfying play patterns. Yeah, that makes sense. Completely agree with that. And also, like, you know, they kind of say, by the way, I spoiled what it was coming, like, they kind of agree that you have to dilute the deck with bad units, because you have to reforge, and they are bad units. Anyways, Ash, from 2 to 3. Wow, guys. Ash ultimately counteracts too many strategies, oftentimes doing it in a super efficient way. While we wanted to avoid over-nerfing in the past, the overall play rate and amount of strategies is defined. New words for me. Especially the champions from the Cosmic's Creation expansion make it clear that the flat nerf is warranted. I couldn't agree more with these guys. Like, really, you can't play Taric, you can't play Victor, you can't play even, like, not really Zoe because of elusive, Riven. That's what, like, you can't play Blade of the Exile into just a Nash, you know? Like, you I can't explain how bad it is. Like, you worked all your previous rounds to create this Blade of the Exile, to make a very big unit, unstoppable unit, whatever, just need to be ashed, Like, it completely defines the meta. Even if this card is not present at all, even if, it's a 50% win rate, you still don't see how much this card affects the meta. Because as soon as a new deck with, end buffs, buffs in general, whatever, like as soon as you have some sort of buff, which makes the game interesting, like just don't play units with just efficient stats and that's it. Like, actually buffing cards, playing synergies and whatever, like interesting stuff. This card completely breaks all of that. You can't play Tariq, you can't play Victor, just because of this card. And Riven, of course. Like, I played the Tariq Riven, I remember, and I couldn't play that deck anymore because of Ash. Like, that's completely insane. And, basically this may seem like, okay, but then just one more mana of a nerf, like, are you saying that now Ash is completely dead? No, because, it is not only just one more mana, it is a 50% increase in mana. So, like, this card is 50% less efficient. And also, like, a 3 mana, like, it feels fair. Like, I don't know, it's a combat trick. Like, most of the times at 3 mana you start seeing stuff that can actually kill some units, etc. So, like, at 3 mana it's fine. Like, you counter a buffs, a skill, a combat skill, combat trick, something like that. And yeah, like, it still counters a lot those type of heavy buff style of effect, but it is still fine to have some cards that deal with that type of effect. But, not as efficient as Ash was. Then this is much better. And then we see also, to my, surprise, Pale Cascade. From 2-1, plus 2 plus 1 to plus 1 plus 1. Like, I didn't expect this change, because Pale Cascade, while it's obviously very strong, like, it is a card that many archetypes deserved, But yeah, like, I could see that this card is, its play rate is basically every deck that has Targon in it wants to run Pale Cascade, so that's probably a bit too toxic, and I'm fine with this change. Now, like, this card probably could not die necessarily, but, like, I could see a world in a meta in which this card is only run in Nightfall specifically, which is not that much into the meta currently, and only Lee Sin, basically, for the draw, just for the draw. It's also kind of, because, they run Guiding Touch, not really because they want to heal, but mostly for the draw, because it is a combo deck. So, like, this is a more, like, you want more this type of effect rather than just healing in 2, and but like, this is a bonus on top of the you draw 1, So, like, that's not the only, like, combo decks will still run this card, but that's basically it. While there are strong burst spells at a similar cost, Pale Cascade provides all Targon decks efficient combat superiority and protection without much of the opportunity cost given its built-in card draw. Okay. By reducing the overall damage, we are removing some of the potential to create better trades or push damage. Yeah, completely agree. Like, at least you can't trade all that much with it. Like, you are already generating value by drawing a card, but you can also push some trades where they were not possible. Or, even worse, like, imagine a 2-3 onto a... imagine a 1-3 blocking a 3-2, for example. Like, you give... Even worse, like, 3-3 blocking at 1-3, okay? Like, you Pale Cascade, and your 1-3 becomes a 3-4. So, like, suddenly, something that was being value traded by your opponent, instead, you value trade, and you draw a card on top of that. It is a not only 2-for-1, but it is a 3-for-1. So, like, it's pretty crazy how much value this card can generate without you even not noticing, And so, yeah, definitely, like, narrowing the window for these cards to generate value trades and stuff is definitely pretty healthy. So then some more garbage, but I guess let's read into that. New single player Legends Lab of Legends. Patch 2.1.0 brings a new rotation to Multilab, Lab of Legends, which is new. The Front, which is garbage, and Quick Draw, which is fun, but still. I want some single player labs so that I can farm the labs, because otherwise I'm never playing lab anyways. Anyways, after countless hours of experimentation, Amberdinger is finally ready to unveil his latest and greatest achievement, introducing the appropriately named Lab of Legends, our first Legends Lab, and another 4, into the world of single-player adventure. Okay, single-player adventures. Now I'm a fan of this Lab of Legends. First introduced in our 2021 roadmap update, Legends Labs are experiences that focus on progression, customization, and adaptation. Building off of those teams, Lab of Legends gives you a chance between 8 different champions, each with their own pre-made deck, and pits you against a series of increasingly difficult encounters. As you progress, you'll learn new cards. You'll learn new cards, passive abilities, and items that power up cards in unique ways. No two runs are the same, except expect to see some crazy combo possibilities emerge as you reach later stages. Don't be reckless though, your Nexus health carries over between rounds and is only refilled after a boss encounter, so be sure to pace yourself. Wow, pretty interesting. Emerge victorious, at the end of a run, and you learn a unique icon based on your selected champion. Fight hard, expand the reason responsibly, and try to collect them all. Well, this is no joke, kind of nice, because like I am more of a competitive style of player, but like I could see some players, even like streamers, just playing Lab of Legends. Like I kind of see this basically what it was like on Narson, the dungeon runs, like a lot of streamers, a lot of players just enjoyed playing dungeon runs, like I could see a world in which this becomes a new way, like a new game mode, and that would be very fun for a lot of players. Even myself, like I'm more of a competitive player, but like I like a lot those single style of gameplay, single player. Really a huge fan of the Lab of Legends. So it was actually not garbage. Then we see personalizations, boards. What is this? Club Ox, okay? So basically the year of the Ox, I guess. Guardians, Lunar Beast, a new card back, which is... Who is this? Fortune Faithful. Celebrate with a Whisper. Is this the new champion, Aphelios? Like, sorry, I am not a big fan of... not a big fan, like, I didn't play LoL, League of Legends, and then this is Fortune Bounty. Okay. Then we see also the Ox, the Beast, new emotes, so I guess Aphelios, I don't know what are they, some, bundles, deck bundles, expeditions, yeah, buff and nerfs for expedition, not really a fan of it, miscellaneous, okay, added a toggle in options general to allow to prevent fans from spectating your games, okay, bug fixes, okay, like, things under the hood. And so yeah, guys, that's it for this patch 2.1.0 I don't know, commentary, reaction, whatever, and I'll see you in the next video.